In June of 1886, Gaston Maspero, the head of the Egyptian Antiquity Service, was unrolling the bandages of newly discovered mummies. He had seen kings, queens, and high priests, but when he opened one particular sarcophagus, he found a nightmare. They called him Unknown Man E. Unlike the peaceful, serene faces of the pharaohs, this man was frozen in pure agony. His hands and feet were tightly bound, but the most terrifying detail wasn't how he looked, it was how he was buried. To the ancient Egyptians, the afterlife was everything. You needed your name, your preserved organs, and a pure burial to reach eternity. But this man, he was deliberately cursed. When archaeologists examined him, they realized this wasn't just a bad embalming job. This was an execution of the soul. First, his internal organs were left inside his body, a massive violation of Egyptian custom, leaving him to rot from the inside out. Second, he was wrapped not in fine linen, but in sheepskin. To the Egyptians, sheepskin was considered deeply impure. And finally, his name was erased from his coffin. In ancient Egypt, if you had no name, you ceased to exist in the afterlife. You were condemned to eternal darkness. Whoever this man was, he didn't just anger the gods. He committed a crime so unthinkable, so deeply offensive, that the highest powers in Egypt wanted to ensure he suffered for all of eternity. But what was the crime? And who was the victim? For over a century, the screaming mummy sat in a museum, a total mystery. But the answer was hiding in another museum, written on a 3,000-year-old scroll known as the Judicial Papyrus of Turin. The scroll details a dark, twisting conspiracy, a plot to assassinate a living god. The target was Ramses III, one of the last great pharaohs of Egypt. According to the scroll, a group of women in the royal harem, along with palace guards, plotted to murder the king in his sleep. The papyrus says the conspirators were caught and brought to trial, but it vaguely claims the pharaoh survived long enough to oversee the trial before dying naturally. Case closed, right? Not exactly. In 2012, forensic scientists decided to put the 3,000-year-old cold case to the test. They ran the mummy of Ramses III through a modern CT scanner. The ancient history books lied. Ramses III didn't die of natural causes. The CT scan revealed a massive, incredibly deep slit across the pharaoh's throat. It severed his windpipe and his major arteries. The living god was brutally murdered in his bed. But what does this have to do with the screaming mummy? The scientists took a DNA sample from the murdered pharaoh, Ramses III. Then, they took a sample from Unknown Man E, the screaming mummy wrapped in impure sheepskin. They were a perfect match, father and son. The screaming mummy was Prince Pentawere, the son of Ramses III, the mastermind behind the assassination of his own father. When the plot was discovered, Pentawere wasn't executed like a common criminal. Because he had royal blood, he was offered a terrible choice: take his own life or be publicly executed. Forensic evidence suggests he was forced to drink poison or perhaps hanged. His body was hastily bound. He was wrapped in the skin of a beast. His name was stripped from history and he was thrown into the dark. The scream you see on his face today isn't just the physical pain of his death. It is the frozen terror of a son realizing he was being erased from eternity. If you enjoyed this descent into the darkest corners of history, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and tell me in the comments, what historical mystery should we unearth next? Until then, keep digging.